All right, rock and roll. Monday. Hope the hangover isn't too bad. Welcome to the Scorched Earth podcast for Monday, February 10th. Oh, what a Super Bowl, huh? First of all, before we even start talking about your hangover and how you might need to go to rehab, hit that like and subscribe button. Leave some comments so I can respond to them. You know I'm witty, right? So if you put something in there, it'll be an incredibly witty retort. Or you may end up being the witty retort. Who knows? Let's roll the dice, right? The Super Bowl happened, and wow. I think charges should have been brought against Philadelphia for criminal assault. It really wasn't even a game. 24-0 at halftime. It was just a ass whooping on an ass whooping. And Patrick Mahomes may be the greatest quarterback of all time, but you can only do what you can do, right? He was up against it, and the Philadelphia Eagles were just better. You know, I was saying yesterday, who are you going to bet on? Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid against Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni. And I did admit that Philadelphia, I thought, had the better personnel, but I just thought Patrick could overcome it. And kind of like the Super Bowl a couple years ago against Tampa Bay, sometimes the better team's the better team. And I will tell you that one of the really interesting indicators is the team with the better defense typically wins the Super Bowl. Philadelphia had the better defense going into it, and they showed it. You know, they just harassed the guy. I mean, it's, it's like Trump with the hot new intern, just nothing but oogling and harassing and just assault on assault. And it was tough to watch. I watched it with my parents. My mom is a huge Mahomes fan. She was a Brady fan. And then when that New England bandwagon went off the track, all the bandwagoners, and I love my mom, but she's a bandwagoner. She got on that Kansas City, man. She couldn't get that red on quick enough. God bless her. So I got this whole podcast. We're not going to talk about politics tonight. We're just going to talk about what I saw at the Super Bowl, the highs, the lows, and the stuff I wanted to vomit. Well, first thing is, it's obviously the biggest television event in America, not the world, because the World Cup has a bigger audience. But I don't know if you saw the national anthem and God Bless America, but they had a sign language lady on there, and I am telling you, this lady could have been on Soul Train, man. She was taking her 2 or 3 minutes of fame, and she was moving and busting. I know you look at me and you go, hey, John, you're used to that. You're like John Travolta. No, I'm not. I'm actually like a guy having an epileptic seizure when I'm trying to dance. Trust me. I have danced before, and people walk up to me and go, hey, bro, just back off. What you're doing is a crime against humanity. And they're right, okay? I usually dance in, blind people functions. That way they can't be as obvious. But that lady had some moves, man. She was doing and swaying with the hands. I mean, she wasn't just stand still. She wasn't no statue, man. This girl had her vibe on. She was going. God, love that lady. Wow. So, question number one. We've got Elon Musk out there. I said I wasn't going to get into politics, but, got to take the low-lying fruit. We got Elon Musk out there, and he has this Doge thing, and that is, quote-unquote, to have efficiency in government, okay? We're going to cut all this wasteful stuff. And I think we all agree there probably is some waste in there. There is some bloat. That's fine. I don't think USA 8 is. Show me a study. But I have a real question, and I hate when I watch the Super Bowl, everybody gets in line with the cult. I mean, this is Jonestown. This is Heaven's Gate. Why do we have a flyover? They're in a dome. Nobody in the dome can see the flyover. So why are we having 5 stealth fighters at, I'm sure, something like $100,000 a minute for fuel and maintenance per plane going over. I remember a couple years ago, they had one out here in Los Angeles. They had a flyover, and the estimated cost was somewhere about $12 million. So, I mean, what is this? Can't you just run some Army commercials? Why are we spending money on that? I mean, it's just pathetic. You know, it's kind of a little cute thing. I'm going to get into this probably a little more tomorrow. But they're talking about how they're going to renegotiate the Panama Canal, right? And how the Panama Canal overcharges us and the Panamanians overcharge us and the Chinese, but they don't give us any numbers. Oh, we're going to get it down. They claim that we're getting charged up the wazoo, and the Panamanians basically have come out and said, we don't charge you anything. And, you know, they just put out a headline without any facts. That's just the way government works. You know, how much do you think there's going to be a DOD press release on how much they spent on that flyover? No. And then, he's on a rant. Let's go, baby. Then they talk about how secure the city is. The city is so secure. Oh, New Orleans. Oh my gosh, we're going to do it. So what they do, take you back a little in time. College football has a playoff system. They had a semifinal game in New Orleans. Now, because it wasn't as big of a national priority, the FBI was minimally involved. Maybe little here, there. Actually, they were probably getting ready for the Super Bowl, but whatever. I don't know. They don't really tell you. But it was basically under the domain of the state and city police of Louisiana. Now, unfortunately, if you remember, 14 people got killed in a terrorist attack. They honored that at the beginning of the Super Bowl. And then they also brought out the cops who they said, and the cops who they said saved so many lives. I remember back the day after that horrible terrorist attack, and we had the chief of police, we had a senator, we had the mayor of New Orleans, and people said, bollards are those things they stick in the ground that are basically immovable. You hit it, you destroy your car, right? And they put a line of them at the end of streets, and then when they want a vehicle, an authorized vehicle to go through, they take them out. Vehicle can pass, they put them back in the ground. Well, they were asked the question, the holes were there, how come they didn't install the bollards? They were in some warehouse in New Orleans. So what happened on the terrorist attack, which we talked about back then, is the cops just parked a car at the end of each street, a police car at the end of each street, because they didn't put in the bollards. They already had the holes. Everything was ready to go. They just didn't put them in. Guess we didn't want to pay that, $4 extra in overtime to have them do it. So what happened was this terrorist was so bloody ingenious, he drove on the sidewalk around the car, around the cop car. Wow. These terrorists are getting smarter and smarter and smarter. Eventually, they're going to get so smart, they're going to be Donald Trump. But he's the terrorist in the White House. Let's move off that. So that guy got out, ran over people, got a gun, shot people, 14 people died. Numerous other people are in the hospital. Nobody cares about him, sorry. Now, they want to applaud for themselves because after that, the bollards got put in. Nobody in New Orleans, the police chief, the mayor, nobody stepped down. Nobody took responsibility. Their whole mantra has been, well, it's too soon. It's too soon after the tragedy. It's funny. They crawled down Gavin Newsom's butt. They crawled down Karen Bass's butt by being irresponsible. They didn't do enough, even for stuff that wasn't true, like the reservoir that was under repair. But when the cops and the mayor and the senator for Louisiana drop the ball and 14 people get killed, hey, it's too soon to talk about it. It's a tragedy. We don't need to talk about it. Let's move on. Nothing to see here. We'll give you a report in a couple months. Yeah, right. I'm still waiting for that report about accountability on Uvalde. Yeah. Holding my breath, mother effers. So we got that. We got to see the cops slap each other on the back, tell each other how they're great, and make no mistake about it. I'm not blaming the cops. The cops are not the fault here. It's the management of the police force. Somebody needs to lose their job. Nothing to see here. No, none of them are. They're going to fire everybody else. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, sure. I guess terrorism happens in Republican areas too. Huh. Ooh. God, that's a crazy thing. It's not just the blue sanctuary cities, huh? Wow, where the terrorists all hang out. I guess they can go, and it was a Republican who did that. Let's not forget that, right? So we had the game, and we got a picture of President Trump looking very presidential, saluting for the national anthem. He was there. First time a president has went to a Super Bowl game, which really kind of surprises me. You think that maybe, one thing you got to say about Trump is he is very, very politically savvy in terms of putting himself out there. But I do wonder, is there going to be a burnout? I mean, he's enjoying every second of being president. He's got 4 more years. I wonder, is there just a little too much burnout going there? But I guess time will tell the tale. So Fox had the game, and literally they have so many people on the set. They got a booth, right, where they have all their analysts. And they've got Kurt. He's the guy. He's the ringleader. And you got Terry Bradshaw, who's a quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers, won 4 Super Bowls. You got Howie Long, who won Super Bowl for the Raiders. You got Gronkowski, Rob Gronkowski, who seems to be the belle of the moment, won some Super Bowls for New England. You got Michael Strahan, won a couple Super Bowls for New York Giants. And you got Jimmy Johnson, won a couple Super Bowls for Dallas. Obviously, you got to have a Super Bowl win to get on the set. And literally, they only get to say like 4 words because there's so many people in such a small space. And I literally have seen fewer people than I saw on the Fox set at a free turkey giveaway at Thanksgiving. I'm telling you right now, there's so many people and they're like, hey, Gronk, what do you think? I agree with you there, Kurt. I'm like, wow, oh, thanks. I'm glad he's on there. That really made the Super Bowl a lot better for me. So then we get into the game. Oh, God help me. So we got Kevin Burkhardt calling the game. We got Tom Brady as the analyst. Oh, God. It's like watching a car wreck. The guy is so bad on so bad, I wouldn't want him calling my kid's high school football game, okay? There were so many mistakes. I'll give you one, for example. He says, Philadelphia is up by 4 scores with 5:22 left in the game. And then he caught himself and said, oh, no, it's just the third quarter. Okay. Now, look, I understand guys make mistakes. Believe me. You listen to this podcast, you know that I'm making plenty. I'm making enough for 5 podcasts, right? But everything out of Tom Brady, it's like he does not want to offend anybody. Oh, that guy tried, but the other guy tried even a little harder and it didn't quite work. The mantra is going to be, and he started to play into this is, well, it's just not Kansas City's day, and Mahomes just isn't feeling it today. I hate that. I effing hate that in sports. I got to rehydrate. I'm so famished. That they sit there and the losing team, and what Kansas City was going for was unprecedented, a 3rd consecutive Super Bowl title, right? Mahomes is magic, right? There's a reason they were off. It's called the Philadelphia Eagles. When they say, and you hear this all the time in sports, well, they just weren't firing. A lot of it has to do with the other guy on the side, right? That they were doing a different defense or they just played better. I know sometimes a team that doesn't play better will win. But most of the time, the better team wins. And that happened tonight. That was an ass whooping on an ass whooping. And I don't know. It was just a game that was kind of over. And I understand they're trying to make it exciting. They don't want the viewers to leave. Because honestly, at halftime, I could just hear television or phones, I guess. Forget television sets. I could see hear phones just clicking off. Oh Oh, let's see if what's on 90 Day Fiance. Let me tell you something. 90 Day Fiance is inherently better than what we saw tonight in the Super Bowl. But hey, there you go, right? So I'm going to talk about the commercials. Let's go with the commercials. $8 million for a 30-second commercial. Okay. And somehow there were so many commercials, they were actually able to sandwich in a little football between them. And believe me, that's why this game is a 4-hour game, because they are not missing a chance to get to a commercial at $8 million a pop. And I'm fascinated by a lot of things that I saw there tonight. Let's start out with Squarespace. There's a guy on a donkey walking through Ireland, throwing out laptops and iPads, and then he walks off a cliff. And I sat there and thought, wow, why don't you just take the $8 million and put it on black and red or on a roulette wheel? Because literally, I mean, maybe they wanted to make the commercial so incompetent and so bad that you wouldn't forget it. Trust me, Squarespace is deeply embedded in my brain pattern. I don't know what it does. I might be doing a commercial for them in 3 weeks. I don't know. You know what? I'll tell you what, Squarespace. I will give you so much better commercial likability if you just give me 1/100th of that. Just plop 80 grand down here. You contact super producer Stacy. Trust me, we can be bought. No. Then we had Disney Plus. I saw that commercial. Still don't understand what that was. They had Star Wars. They had Frozen. They had Steve Martin. And at some point, I am so disassociated from what is going on in the streaming world, I said, what the F? What is going on here? Why do I got to see Star Wars stuff from 30 years ago? What is that doing me? I don't get it. I'm going to get Disney Plus so I could see an old Star Wars movie? Oh, Christ's sake. One of the highlights for me was the Instacart. I love Datsuns. They had a whole bunch of them running. There was Kool-Aid. There was the Old Spice guy. There was, I don't know. Everybody was in there, right? Get some Instacart. I got my mom hooked up on Instacart, and she loves it. You know, she was so resistant. In the second she found that the groceries came to her door, oh my gosh, whoa, life hack, you know? Yeah, there you go. There was a commercial that kind of struck me as a little odd. So Coffee Mate, and I'm not going to do it because I'm going to get smacked down by producer Stacy. They had the tongue out, okay? And the theme of the commercial was "Let's Go Tongues," and you saw a tongue coming out. And I have to be really honest. It looked like a guy's genitalia, and then part of it looked like a female genitalia. And I'm like, I literally am looking at it, and I'm thinking this is SpongeBob SquarePants, and then it's kind of morphing into like a porno flick. And I'm like, and then the last line was "Let's go tongues." And I'm like, well, are you promoting oral sex? What's Trump going to think about that? You know? Man, I'm still shaking. My mom was looking at it, and I did, you know, it's kind of cool. I'm lucky enough to have my parents, but it's really like I take them to a movies or I watch a commercial and it's really awkward. It's hard to be in the room with your parents when something awkward sexually happens. You're like, all right, well, what's the weather going to be like tomorrow? And then we immediately deviate like, oh yeah, you know, I don't know. When do you think summer solstice is going to happen? You know? Also, commercial for Masked Singer. Season 13, how the hell did we get here so fast? Ken Jeong? Jenny McCarthy? 13 seasons? I literally, I feel older every day. When I heard that, I was like, I thought that was only around for like 4 years. How do we get to 13? Jesus. Was I literally cryogenically frozen for like 9 of those years? Because I don't remember this. The other thing that surprised me, and if you've watched Super Bowls before, one of the big mainstays used to be Budweiser commercials. You know, they get the horse, and they have a funny one, but then they have the patriotic one where the horses are unveiling the flag, or, you know, they're helping somebody. I didn't see one Bud commercial. I saw a Bud Light commercial, but No Budweiser commercials. Really kind of surprised me. Hey, I don't know. Is Bud a dead brand? I did see the Bud Light though, but yeah. So finally, what we're going to go down to is, and God, I'm really going to sound old now, is the halftime show. I don't understand Lamar. Now, I'm not doubting that he is one of the biggest musical acts in the world. I'm not saying that. I'm not really the hip hop guy. Kind of grew up on heavy metal, rock. But hey, I'm not gonna diminish. Obviously, the guy has an incredible following. Like Taylor Swift does, whatever. I can actually understand Taylor Swift. So Lamar starts dissing or whatever he's doing, and literally for the first 5 minutes, I couldn't understand one word. He could have been speaking literally a foreign language, and I wouldn't have known. My mom turns to me and goes, "What is he saying?" And I go, "Mom, I don't know." I said, "Mom, maybe it's time for us to go get some chips and dip because I don't know what this cat's doing," right? Second of all, there is no effing way that wasn't pre-recorded. I mean, they are so good about it. Remember back in the day when they were so angry? I'm trying to think of the girl who pre-recorded the thing on Saturday Night Live. And then there was the snafu, and then she was kind of embarrassed, and they walked it back. And it used to be at the halftime show, with U2 or Springsteen or whatever, Prince, it had to be live, had to be real. There is no effing way that was live. That was too perfect. The sounds were too perfect. Everything was too crisp to be in that area. Kind of enjoyed seeing Sam Jackson as Uncle Sam. The dancers as a flag was kind of cool. There was some great choreography. Still don't understand what he was saying. I don't know if he was dissing Drake. There was actually a Super Bowl prop that said over under the number of times he's going to disrespect Drake in his songs was like 1.5. So I don't even know if that hit. Because, like I said, I don't know what he said. It did remind me, though, I am kind of a little hypocrite here. Because back in the, heavy metal of the 80s and the 90s, you really couldn't understand what anybody was saying. You were just going there and your hair was flowing. What little hair I have now. I can remember back to the day when I actually had hair. And you would sit there and you would just bang your head and whatever. And really, because you didn't understand the words, you were just going with the music and going, okay. And then everybody gravitated around the two girls who happened to show up at the concert with 400 other guys, And it wasn't until somebody like Guns N' Roses you could actually hear the words. You were like, oh my God, there's actually words and they make sense? Oh yeah, immortal. I don't know. And then when Drake was doing all this, why couldn't they zoom in on Trump? I really would have liked to have seen what his reaction was to the halftime show. A bunch of black dancers there, a black artist talking about, the streets and stuff like that. Why doesn't he tweet like he did about Colin Kaepernick, about how disrespectful it is? Yeah. Yeah, black empowerment. If you can get your face on the Super Bowl, I guess it's all good. Love the last line that I heard in the halftime concert from Lamar. He says, "Turn the TV off." I looked at my mom and said, "Amen, girl. Amen." All right. That's my take on the Super Bowl. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you didn't get too drunk. I hope you stayed safe. I wish tomorrow was President's Day and you had the day off, but, soon, I'm sure. I don't even know what word that was. Please hit the like and subscribe button. I love you all. Leave some comments, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.